Fallout Equstria. War Never Changes. Chapter 1. Now, hold on a second, I said, holding my forelegs out. I don't know what you're doing here, but you don't want to fire that. Blam! I was cut off as the gun discharged into a crate beside the pod, which, unfortunately for the unicorn, triggered the automatic defenses.
Unauthorized use of firearms detected. Lethal suppression protocols in effect.
Boomed the speakers as a half-a-dozen turrets popped out of the roof and opened fire on the hapless unicorn, who just barely managed to dive behind the command console as it opened fire, the shotgun clattering to the ground beside me as he lost focus on it. I scoped out the gun in my own blue aura and popped the remaining shell out of it before snapping it shut again and setting it on the bed. Protocol override 1138 Alpha. Authorization sugarcane. Deactivate and return to standby. I called loudly, over the din of gunfire, causing the turrets to stop.
Protocol override accepted. Returning to standby mode.
The turrets snapped back to their locked positions and slid away, vanishing, just as quickly as they'd appeared. You can come out from behind there now, I called to the other pony. How did you do that? He asked, emerging slowly, his face pale with fright. My turrets? I shrugged, grinning. Turrets Protocol 221B. The turrets popped back out and opened fire around me, a perfect ring forming around the pod I was still sitting in without anything coming anywhere near me. He cowered back at the sight, but didn't duck back outright. Once the ring was finished, the turrets again locked and slid shut. Now, maybe you'll tell me what the hell is going on. Who are you? What are you doing here? And why does it look like a bomb went off on this place? I asked, looking around slowly. There was garbage and junk strewn all about. A number of other pods lay smashed or gutted. Amazingly, mine looked to be the only one still intact. Seriously, answer me! I demanded, throwing the gun back to him. He caught it in his magic, and slid it back into a holster on his back. My name's Brute Force, he answered. I'm scavenging these ruins with my team, and it looks like a bomb went off because they did. He sighed and rubbed his face with a hoof. You don't know, do you? Obviously not, I answered, tapping my hoof impatiently. The zebras attacked. A husky female voice answered. I turned to see the new arrival and almost screamed at the horrific sight. You... what? The mare had a pasty, sickly green coat, and a few tufts of purple mane hung along her neck. Her tail was basically just bone, her eyes milky white. I'm a ghoul, yes. Go ahead and get it out of your system. She sighed. I took the offer and started screaming in horror for a moment, falling backwards out of the pod and sliding. You're a zombie pony! Brute Force chuckled and shook his head. Name's Crackshot, actually, she smirked, shaking her head too. But I know it's not an easy sight to get used to. I've been looking at it for 200 years, and it still doesn't get easier. But 200? I stammered, looking from one to the other. I'm afraid so, Sugar Cube, Crackshot nodded sadly. The zebras attacked all across Equstria. Balefire bombs, megaspell missiles laid worlds to the waste. She sighed. I'm sorry to be the only one to tell you this, but your friends and family are gone, unless you stored others away in these pods, but we haven't found them yet. I shook my head and looked around slowly. I don't even remember how I got into the pod. Okay, Brute Force interrupted. Seriously, I have a question of my own. Who are you, and what are you doing here? How did you turn off the turrets? And what do you mean by they're yours? And why shouldn't I just shoot your ass? He demanded. Seriously, Brutus, Crackshot smirked. You can't piece it together from what you just said. My name is Sugarcane. You can just call me Kane. Was the lead researcher here. I was in charge of the cryopod project, and I'd appreciate it if you don't shoot me in the ass, because I'm kind of freaking out, and the last thing I want to do is get shot. I sighed deeply, looking miserably sad. Sorry, hon, Crackshot said, patting on my shoulder. I'm sure it's all a lot to take in. I'm sorry I called you a zombie pony, I muttered, quietly fighting back tears. My friends, my family, my home was all gone. Hey! A happy voice called from the upper levels, a pink blur darting through the air. Somebody needs to come hack this terminal. Brutus! Oh! Hello? The blur flew down as she bellowed orders, stopping as she realized I was sitting there, resolving into a very pretty pink pony with a short red mane. She was a Pegasus. Who's tall, mopey, and handsome? She asked, looking from me to Brute Force and to Crackshot, and then back to me. You're cute, she winked. This is Sugarcane, Crackshot replied softly. Just thought him out. Brute Force then cleared his throat. Sorry, Brutus thought him out. She rolled her eyes, which was a weird sight. He's from 200 years ago, missed the end of the world by just a couple of hours from the sounds of it. Oh, well, hi, Sugar Baby. The pink Pegasus broke into a wide grin. Name's Ruby Star, pleased to meet you. I couldn't help but smile a little at her enthusiasm. You can call me Kane, I said softly, shaking my head and looking up at her. Oh, hell no, she said, shaking her head. Sugar you are, and sugar you shall be, she laughed. Now, I guess if you're from back then, you can open a weird harmonic lock on the door upstairs. Harmonic lock? Brute Force asked, looking at her curiously. Seriously, I pressed the unlock panel and it played music. I just sort of stood there for a sec, then it played music again, and turrets popped out of the roof and started shooting at me, she explained, looping through the air. If it weren't for the fact I was so fast, I'd have been toast, she laughed, her voice cracking a little as she landed again and grinned. Now can you open it or not? She asked, looking back to me again. Yeah, little Dashy, settle down. I laughed again. What did you call me? She asked, her voice getting cold, and all the happiness draining from it. I'm sorry, she's a friend. Well, now she's just some pony that I used to know. I couldn't help slumping a little as the happiness sort of drained out of the room with her sudden mood swing. Crackshot smacked her in the back of the head. He's been in ice for over 200 years. He doesn't even know what a Dashite is, let alone know how it's used in a derogatory sense. What? I asked, looking between the three of them. Long story, Brute Force said. Let's just get upstairs and see what we can salvage, shall we? He asked. You can't open the door, right? I looked at him and cocked his head towards the door. I nodded. Yeah, sure, no problem. Too stunned by the whole situation to really question their motives. Just let me... I turned and pulled open a drawer on the side of the pod, grinning at the sight inside. My utility body, my lab coat, both of which pulled on quickly, with practiced ease. My pip-buck, the tools to lock it back on, and most importantly... Hello, my little babies, did you miss your daddy? Daddy missed you? Well, don't you worry, I'm here for you now, and you're going to be a family again. I levitated the two matching pistols out of the drawer. One shone purest white. It was made of pearl. The other gleamed a menacing black. It looked like it was carved from a chunk of black opal. Crackshot whistled softly. Those are beauties, Kane. She nodded. Thanks. These are my twin girls, Ebony and Ivory. I twirled them side to side with my magic, a small indicator light blinking on the back of the gun, just below where the hammer sat. The guns had no triggers either. Ebony's was green, Ivory's red. Custom-made 10mm pistol frames, arcanokinetic charge talismans generate power from the plasma and laser energy cells. I fired at the wall, Ebony spitting a green ball of energy, about the size of a gumball, which hit the wall and burst, leaving a small smoking hole, while Ivory fired a red beam, the same as a laser pistol, which scorched the wall only inches away from the pit in the plasma shot had dug. They are also capable of using the standard 10mm ammo types. I don't want to sound like a jerk or anything, but they can also be used, and only be used, as a unicorn. This made Crackshot sigh sadly. The guns are fired by focusing magic on a button inside the gun. If you don't know where the button is inside the gun, it's useless even to a unicorn. I spun them around a few more times, before sliding them into the holsters at the sides of my utility barting. My mayor friend made them for me on my last birthday. And there it was again, my beautiful Rosalia. I'd never see her again. And just like that, I'd lost my good bood. Anyway, let's go, I said flatly, moving towards the stairs, leading up to the upper levels. Okie dokie Loki, Ruby grinned, leaping back into the air, soaring away towards the hallway above. That girl, Brute Force sighed, shaking his head. Don't let her get to you. She's kind of touchy, but she's a good girl. I just nodded and started up the stairs. They were rusty and starting to bend. Last I'd seen them, they looked brand new. The hallway at the top was littered with junk, discarded clipboards and pencils, dropped coffee cups. It looked like everyone had fled in a damned hurry. Wow. I sighed, stopping as I rounded the corner, and I looked at Ruby standing in front of a door. Come on, come on, come on, she said, impatiently, hitting the button. A tune played for a moment, and I smiled. To the town of Appaloosa came a stranger one fine day. Hardly spoke to folks around him, didn't have too much to say. No pony dared to ask his business, not one dared to make a slip. The stranger there among them had a big iron on his hip. I sang back to the machine. It chirped happily and opened the door. Are you kidding? Ruby asked, fighting a fit of laughter. I think you have a beautiful singing voice, Crackshot said, glaring at Ruby as she fell back howling in laughter. Well, it's more secure than a civil passcode or spoken command. You need to match the pitch and tone within a certain acceptable level, as well as have your voice match. I walked into the hallway. In here it was much cleaner. Well, it was really dusty, but not so much refuse scattered about. Alright, Armory is that way, I told them, earning a happy squee from Crackshot, who took off quickly. Computer core? Brute Force asked. Same hallway, third door. It's made of bulletproof glass so you can see the servers inside. He nodded and started off. Guess that leaves me to keep you company, Ruby grinned. Guess so, I nodded. Come on, let's go to my office. I have some stuff I want to pick up if I'm leaving here with you. I paused and looked at her. I assume I'm leaving with you, I asked, suddenly unsure exactly how I was meant to get home. Or to get out. Are you kidding? She asked. There's no way we'd leave you behind in a place like this. Not only are you, like the oldest non-ghoul pony in the wasteland, you know computers better than any pony I've met. How would you know I'm good with computers? I asked, my voice dropping, stopping in front of a pair of wooden double doors. All you've seen me do is unlock a door I knew the password to. She grinned sheepishly and dug into a saddlebag at her side, drawing out a tablet computer and tapping on it with her wing. On the screen was my personnel file from the archives. I may have been doing some digging earlier. I took the tablet from her, wrapping it in my magic, and drew it to my face to read. I scrolled through the pages. It talks about my work with computers, robotics developments, projects. In a box near the top marked status, it read MIA, presumed to have abandoned his post after an attempted zebra attack by zebra infiltrators. "You actually went missing 2 months before the bombs fell," she explained, taking the tablet back and tucking it away again. "Oh. I still can't explain that one," I sighed, looking at the double doors. Reaching out for the unlock button, I paused and looked at her. "Don't laugh," I said seriously, pressing the button. Another tune little played. I let out a slow, agonizing breath. "Isn't it awfully nice to have a penis? Isn't it frightfully good to have a dong? Isn't it swell to own a stiffy? It's divine to own a dick. From the tiniest little tiger to the world's biggest prick." I sang into the speaker. It buzzed and opened, revealing my office inside. "Really?" Ruby snorted and collapsed into a heap of laughter on the ground again. "You gotta be kidding me!" She managed between fits of laughter. "The pythons must be rolling in their graves!" I glared at her and stormed into the office. I was almost exactly as I left it. The back wall lighting up as 3 computer screens on my desk turned on automatically. "Welcome back, Dr. Kane." A soft female voice came from the speakers hidden around the room. "It has been
Error, computational stack overflow.
hours since your last terminal login." The feminine voice was replaced by a stock robotic computer voice as it delivered the error, and seamlessly switched back to the female. I glared at her and stormed into my office. I sat down at the computer and started downloading data off my private server, ignoring Ruby for the moment while I pulled schematics for computer components, robotic upgrades, as well as all the reports about my disappearance. While the data downloaded into my pitbuck, I levitated out the tools to unscrew the device and put it back on, smiling happily as the EFS popped back into my vision. I watched the downloads finish, and then unhooked the pitbuck as Ruby finally made her way into the office. "I'm sorry, sugar, that was just too funny," she says, wiping tears from her eyes. "Who uses a song like that for a lock? And a female voice for a computer? Lonely much?" she asked, smirking but not laughing. "It's Rosalia's voice," I replied flatly, gesturing to a number of pictures sitting along a shelf, one wall, while I skimmed readouts on the pods in the warehouse, hoping to find some pony, any pony, who else might still be alive down there. But of the 2,000 other occupants, not a single one was registering vitals or movement of any kind within. The pictures on the wall made Ruby's face smile, and then fade. Pictures of me and Rosalia, a red Pegasus, her mane slowly running the spectrum from blood red down to light happy pink. Pictures of us at parties, picnics. One, none too flattering, one of her sprawled out on the back of a couch asleep with her wings stuck out at funny angles and a lampshade on her head. Empty bottles littered the ground in front of the couch. That was the morning after we finished celebrating the approval of the cryo-prod program, I explained when Ruby gave me a look. I took the picture, but I wasn't in a much better state. She hated it. She'd come down and take it down, of course. I'd print out another one, and the next time she came in, it would be right back up. "Her cutie mark is a pistol, crossed with swords," she said, leaning back and looking at my flank. "I can't help but notice that you have something similar branded onto your mark?" She smiled. "Yeah, sign of devotion," I stammered. "Why doesn't she have one of your double helixes?" "Why don't you kiss my ass?" I grumbled. "Not till the 3rd day, at least," she winked. I glared at her and turned back to the shelf. The picture beside the one of the parted out Rosalia I took down to tuck into the saddlebags I had pulled away from the drawer in my desk. It was a party in Ponyville. I had proposed to Rosalia. It had only been a week and a half to me since this picture was taken. "Wow, you knew the Ministry Mares?" she asked, gesturing to Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy in the background of the picture. I was kneeling in front of Rosalia. I was dressed in the mysterious Mare Duel, though the mask had been discarded, and she was in tears. We were surrounded by dozens of ponies, all of them cheering. Well, I knew Rainbow Dash. She was, my second cousin. I shrugged. And Fluttershy was actually there on official business to meet with me and my brother to update her about the cryopod program. My Pip-Buck chirped and grabbed the picture from me, filing it away inside my bags. An indicator popped up on my vision. Quest added. Ghosts of the past. I pulled it up and saw it marked, "Try to find out what happened to your family and friends." I shrugged and went to close out of the program, but flipped to my inventory screen out of curiosity. My saddlebags were full of random stuff I had shoved into them last time I'd used them. Well, I don't think I need this stuff. I laughed, tossing the cups and empty bottles out, followed by a rather large pile of bottle caps I had been meaning to toss out but never got around to. "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" Ruby yelped, grabbing the caps. "Dude, you got 100 caps here! It's not much, but it's something!" She snaps, tossing them back into my saddlebags. "Wait, what?" I asked, looking at her in curiosity. "Bottle caps are money," she said. "Only small thing that's easily rounded up and used," she explained. "Ooh, and you're keeping this too," she says, tossing me back a bottle of Wild Pegasus. "All right," I nodded, pocketing the booze again. "Wait, what's this?" I pulled up a crumbling piece of paper that had been marked "Note." Grabbing it with my magic, I unfolded it. Unfortunately, it did little more than upset and confuse me. For what it's worth, I'm sorry, Kane. It was signed with a stylized R. "This is a note from Rosalia," I said softly, looking up at Ruby sadly. I don't know why she wrote it, but it's obvious she wasn't happy about the circumstances. "She thought you were a deserter," Ruby said. "That would upset most any pony. I should know." "And what makes you a qualified expert on desertion?" I asked, kind of angrily. She gestured to her cutie mark with a wing. I realized for the first time it had been branded over with a cloud and lightning bolt. It was so covered I couldn't tell what she had once been. "I'm a Dashite. A Pegasus that has been branded a traitor and banished from above," she explained. "Oh." My eyes went wide as I realized. "Oh. No wonder you got upset when I called you Dashy." "Huh." I looked down. Sorry, I didn't mean to insult you." "Hey, don't worry about it. We all make mistakes. I assumed you were single, remember?" "I suppose I am now." I sighed, not letting my sadness show again. "Come on. We should go find the others." I tucked the note back into my saddlebags. Not like I could do anything about them right now anyway. Pausing, I hurried back to the desk and came up with a pair of memory orbs, putting them away. "Ooh, let me guess. Memories of you fooling around with your filly?" Ruby sighed. "None of your business," I said, and sticking my tongue out at her. "Well, it's a good thing we have a recollector on board the scout wagon. I'm sure you won't mind me watching them?" she asked, moving out in the hallway in front of me. She turned and leaned in close. "I love to watch," she whispered in my ear, nipping it ever so gently as we moved down the hall, swaying her hips suggestively as she did. What?" I stammered, closing the door behind me and following her quickly. Crackshot was going through 3 crates of ammo and guns like a foal on her birthday. "I've never seen guns in this good condition," she giggled. A haunting noise you'd expect to hear coming from the darkness between the trees in the forests late at night. "Oh, Kane, I think you'll want this back." She dug into a crate and came up with a sword. I slid it out of her scabbard. It shone with an amazing light, and was sharpened to a perfect point. I was surprised to see my name etched into the hilt. "It's not yours?" Ruby asked, when she saw the look on my face. "Never seen it in my life," I said, shaking my head. My Pip-Buck chirped and added it to the inventory. Rose's thorn appeared in the corner of my vision. "Oh." I smiled softly. It was Rosalia's. She didn't make swords, but she certainly had people on her staff that were able to forge them. He's my friend, Ruby explained, seeing the confused look on Crackshot's face. Your mare friend made these? Crackshot asked, nudging at the box of weapons. Yeah, I nodded. She designed every single one of them. Probably actually made at least half the ones in that box. Well, shit, she grins. I go gay for that, could make me weapons. Well, take those with my blessing, I smiled, sliding the sword back into the scabbard and sliding it through an unused loop on my barding, designed to hold a hammer originally, and slid it down on my side, hooking it through the unused belt loop. Perfect, I nodded. So, we're ready to go? Brute Force asked, coming back from the server room, 2 pip bucks on each foreleg and at least 10 hard drives sticking out of one saddlebag. Jeez, did you take everything on the servers? I asked. Most of it's junk encryption data to hide the classified material, you know. Yeah, these bad boys are running decryption now, he said, tapping the 2 lower pip bucks together. Alrighty, my little ponies, let's hit it. I levitated one of the crates for Crackshot, and Brute Force took the other one, and we started out of the building. Brute Force paused at the entrance to the building. Alright, kid, he paused. I'm 200 years older than you, I smirked. Yeah. Welcome to the wasteland. He reached out and pushed the doors open, and I stepped out into the real world. Footnote, level up. New perk. Computer whiz. Fail a hack attempt and get locked out of a computer? Not if you're a computer whiz. With this perk, you get a second chance at any computer you were previously locked out of. Note. This fanfiction is based on Fallout Equstria by KitKat. Familiarity with the source material may aid your understanding. You can read Fallout Equstria by KitKat on Equstria Daily, or listen to it on YouTube. The Fallout Equstria logo, used above, was designed by .rock, who, according to the original DeviantArt page, allows usage in supplementary materials created for and associated with the series. Images really do make a difference, so he has our eternal gratitude and respect. If you enjoy Fallout Equstria side stories, you'll want to check the Fallout Equstria side stories post on Equstria Daily and the Fallout Equstria side stories thread on PonyChan. The PonyChan group is also hatching ground that you can join if you want to share your experience, writing, or comments with us.